Medical care through Social Security. 30 years ago, the federal government was spending nothing on general health activities. Today, it spends $5.4 billion a year, and President Johnson wants expenditures vastly expanded, plus the expansion of Social Security to provide compulsory hospital insurance. Yet the President's statements about the need for expanded expenditures indicate that national health is no better now, perhaps even worse, than 30 years ago. The proposal for expansion of Social Security to provide medical benefits is, in essence, the same proposal that has been before Congress under various names for 30 years. While rejecting this scheme, however, Congress has been authorizing other governmental encroachments upon the field of medicine until today. We're on the verge of following England into a complete system of socialized medicine. The remedy is for the people to elect constitutionalists to Congress and the presidency. That is a summary of my report on medical care through Social Security. The full report after a message from my sponsor. Early in 1964, President Johnson said the federal government is spending $5.4 billion a year on health and health-related programs, but urged vast expansion of such expenditures. He also urged enactment of the Hospital Insurance Act to provide certain hospital and nursing home benefits through Social Security for persons over 65. The hospital insurance plan would be financed by increases in Social Security payroll taxes. The President said, quote, "We are going to try to take all of the money that we think is unnecessarily being spent and take it from the haves and give it to the have-nots that need it so much," end quote. What would the President's compulsory hospital insurance plan mean to a person who goes to work at age 25 and works for 40 years, earning $5,200 a year? During those 40 years, he would receive no benefits at all, but would pay about $90 a year for hospitalization and nursing benefits, which he might get after 65. If the employee were left free to spend his money as he pleases, he could provide much greater benefits for himself than he would get under the compulsory government program. For $90 a year, he could buy a health insurance policy to guarantee benefits throughout the 40-year period when the government program would provide nothing. The early years of a working person's career are generally the lean years when he most needs protection of health insurance for himself and family. But if an employee is more concerned about health insurance after age 65 than during his younger years, he still could be much better off if the government would leave him alone. If, instead of having $7.50 a month confiscated from his earnings, he invested that much every month for 40 years in mutual savings compounded at 4% quarterly, he would have more than $9,000 at age 65 to use as he pleases. What does the President mean by saying that his administration is going to try to take all of the money that he thinks is unnecessarily being spent? Whose money is he talking about? He is talking about money which workers earn. He apparently means that he considers workers too stupid to spend their money properly. He's going to take it away from them and spend it in a way that seems proper to government officials. The President's promise to rob the haves for gifts to have-nots may be good for getting votes, but it reveals a distortion of facts. His hospital insurance program would confiscate money from workers to pay hospital benefits for hundreds of thousands of persons over 65 who are infinitely better off financially than the workers being forced to pay for the benefits. The fact that a President of the United States even proposes a compulsory national hospital insurance program is proof of the widespread ignorance of or contempt for our fundamental law. The grant of power which the people of America made in the Constitution to the federal government begins with the phrase, "all legislative powers herein granted." The last two articles of the Bill of Rights, the 9th and 10th Amendments to the Constitution, reaffirm this doctrine that the Constitution is a binding contract of government, delegating to the federal government all the power it can legally exercise, denying it any power not granted. Nothing in the Constitution grants power to the federal government to engage in activities involving social insurance, health insurance, or medical care. Consequently, all programs or proposals for such activities, including the existing Social Security system and all federal aid for medical facilities, research, education, are unconstitutional. But standing for the health of our people has popular appeal. Liberal politicians can buy votes by promising free medical care. Social planners who want to convert our free society into a socialist state find willing listeners when they decry the high cost of medical care and claim that government could eliminate the painful consequences of illness. Liberals bombard the public with propaganda and distorted statistics indicating that millions of poor Americans suffer and die of disease merely because those who are prosperous are too mean to spend a widow's mite on medical care for the less fortunate. Constitutionalists react to this propaganda by saying even if such conditions did exist, there is nothing the federal government can do about it because the federal government has no constitutional authority to act in this field. But your propaganda lies. No such condition exists in America. Free Americans, which means Americans free of governmental meddling and subsidizing, have always provided more and better facilities and medical care for the whole population than any other people on earth. Government itself causes shortage of funds by robbing the people of money and independence. But constitutionalists have little representation in Congress. Most senators and representatives who do not boast of being liberals consider themselves moderate conservatives. They are afraid of being called extremists or do-nothing reactionaries insensitive to social ills. Instead of giving the lie to liberal propaganda, moderate conservatives generally concede that conditions are bad and that the federal government should do something, but they complain about the cost of liberal proposals. They offer compromises, not to block a socialist program, but to trim it down. Liberals always take the initiative, proposing extravagant socialistic programs. Moderate conservatives are always in the position of endorsing in principle the liberal proposals, but holding out for a less expensive alternative. So, political conflict in Congress between liberals and moderate conservatives is simply a struggle between bold socialism and timid socialism. The result is a steady erosion of the principles and institutions of freedom. The liberals never give up. The Hospital Insurance Act, which President Johnson supports, was proposed in 1963 by President Kennedy. It is, in essence, the same proposal which Congress has been rejecting since the first term of Franklin D. Roosevelt's New Deal. The same proposal that Congress rejected in 1935 when enacting the original Social Security Act. The same as the Wagner-Murray-Dingle bills which Congress rejected in 1943, 1945, and 1947. The same proposal that the Truman administration made in 1952. The same as the Foran bill, which was before Congress from 1957 to the middle of 1960. And the same as the King-Anderson bill, which was before Congress from 1961 through 1962. With a ceaseless barrage of propaganda about the health of our people, liberals have kept before Congress almost continuously for 30 years some kind of proposal to provide medical care through Social Security. If they ever get such a proposal enacted into law, they will have achieved a major victory. Meanwhile, keeping this controversial proposal in the forefront draws public attention from the federal government's other unconstitutional encroachments upon the field of medicine. Step by step, we are following England into a complete system of socialized medicine, knowing that the system has failed wretchedly in England and in every other nation where it has been tried. Today, the federal government spends $5.4 billion a year on health, and the President wants such expenditures vastly expanded, plus expansion of Social Security to provide compulsory hospital insurance, plus aid to foreign countries for health activities. Yet, if we can judge from the President's own statements about the need for such increased expenditures of tax money, the health of our people is not any better, indeed appears to be worse than 30 years ago, when the federal government, except for veterans and military programs, was spending practically nothing on health activities. Lack of money is not the cause of major national health problems in the United States. Many of our national health problems seem to result from the kind of living which our abundant prosperity has made possible. But if money would solve our health problems, the perfect solution is obvious. Compel federal officials to obey the Constitution and stop plundering Americans of their own money for gifts, loans, and bribes to foreign governments and for illegal, immoral, vote-buying domestic subsidy programs. That would leave most individuals with enough money to pay their medical expenses directly or to buy whatever kind and quantity of insurance they want. And it would leave enough wealth in every American community to provide adequate clinics, facilities, and medicines for the helpless and destitute who are a community responsibility. The current Hospital Insurance Act, supported by the Johnson administration and by liberal Democrats in Congress, and the modern Republican alternative sponsored by liberal Republicans like Jacob Javits of New York and Thomas Kickle of California, must be defeated. Even if they are defeated, however, similar bills will come up again in every session of Congress until the socialists get all they want. The ultimate remedy, therefore, is for the people to find and elect in the Congress and the presidency men who understand and respect the Constitution and who will therefore eliminate all federal activity in the field of private medicine. Goodbye. God bless you. For the documented text of this broadcast, send 25 cents to Dan Smoot, Dallas 14, Texas, and ask for 446. Medical care through Social Security. 6 copies, $1.